All right, I've been having connectivity issue. We move to the class now. Don't know why the connection has been failing. Albeit, we are back to this classroom. The online classroom tonight. We shall be rounding up on the topic pricing decision. This topic we started. This should be the third class on pricing decision. At our first class and second class, we try to explain what this topic is all about. Pricing decision. Or the nature of your business or services being rendered. You must determine a price for your products. This price, the selling price, we have parts on the volume of sale. The selling price, we have impacts on your contribution. Your selling price, we have impacts on your profit. This implies that price determination, determining a selling price, is a very sensitive issue. Even as an individual, you may be asked to name your price. If you are faced with interview and your employer asks you, how much should we pay you? Tell us your price. Name your price. If you look at that question is very sensitive. You are put at a dilemma. Because if you quote a price that is too low, you might be under pricing yourself. Also, if you quote a price that is too high, the employer might decide not to hire you. You can see that pricing is a very sensitive decision. Now, how do companies determine selling price? We explain that there are different methods of determining selling price. We have the cost plus pricing method. We have the cost plus pricing method. Under the cost plus pricing method, we explain that you have full cost plus pricing method, marginal cost plus pricing method, and you have return on investment pricing method. We explained this last week. Thereafter, we took two questions to further explain this principle. We solved question number 4. That was question on Tech Park PSC or Tech Park Nigeria Limited. We equally solved question number the AMA Limited. I think question number 4. Yes, we solved that 2 questions last week. Tonight, we shall be looking at theoretical approach to pricing. When we say theoretical approach to pricing, we are referring to economic approach. Economic approach to pricing. How do we determine selling price? Based on economic viewpoints. How can you determine selling price based on the economic viewpoints? That should be our main discussion tonight. Now let's go to it. Theoretical approach to pricing. From microeconomic viewpoints, from microeconomic viewpoints, a firm should set a selling price which maximizes its profits. We take that again. From the economics perspective, companies are expected to set selling prices, that price that maximizes their profit. If I'm going to set a selling price, I'm going to determine that selling price at which I'm going to have the highest profits. Because I'm in business to maximize profit. So I'm going to look at that selling price at which my company will make maximum profits. Right. To maximize profits, a company must set a price at the level of sales where marginal revenue equal marginal cost. Please note these points. To maximize profits, company must set a selling price at the level of sales at which the marginal cost equal to marginal revenue. If you want to maximize profits, from the economic viewpoint, if a company wants to maximize profits, then the company must ensure that the marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost. So to maximize profits, a company must set a selling price at which the level of sales, at a level of sales where the marginal revenue equals marginal cost. What is marginal cost? What is marginal revenue? There are two ways you can define marginal cost. There are two perspectives, or there are two schools of thoughts that explain marginal cost. From the economic perspective, marginal cost is the additional cost incurred by the production of one extra unit. From economics viewpoints, marginal cost is the additional cost incurred as a result of producing one extra unit of the company's products. That is the economics perspective. From the accountant's perspective, marginal cost is the addition of all variable costs. Marginal cost is the addition of all the variable costs. Please note, we shall be looking at marginal cost from the perspective of the accountant. Please note, we shall be looking at marginal cost from the perspective of the accountant. That means we are going to regard marginal cost as the addition of all variable costs. We have explained marginal cost. Next, marginal revenue. Marginal revenue is defined as the additional revenue achieved or additional revenue earned by selling one extra unit of the company's products. Marginal revenue, this is the additional revenue earned by selling one extra unit of the company's products. All right. We have explained these two variables. How do we calculate marginal revenue? We know how to calculate marginal cost. Our marginal cost is the summation of all variable costs. Our marginal cost is the addition of all variable costs. Now the question is, how can we calculate, or how do we calculate marginal revenue? To calculate your marginal revenue, you are going to start from your demand function, otherwise known as the price function. Your demand function, demand curve, or price function. Our demand function explains relationship between selling price and quantity demanded. Our demand function explains relationship between the selling price and the quantity demanded. For many products, the higher the selling price, the lower the quantity demanded. You recall, we have this knowledge at our elementary economics. The higher the price, the lower the quantity. The higher the price, the lower the quantity demanded. The lower the price, the higher the quantity demanded. Please note, there is inverse relationship between quantity demanded and selling price. Please note, there is inverse relationship between the selling price and quantity demanded. When we say inverse, opposite relationship or negative relationship, if price is increasing, demand will fall. If price is falling, demand will rise. So please note, the gradient of the demand curve is negative. All right, let's move on. Let's move on. Now, I will do explanation with small explanation of this. Okay, I can even come here, sir. I can come here. Okay, let me take it from here. Okay, I need to explain it more. Let's explain more. Remember, we said to maximize profit, your marginal revenue must equal to your marginal cost. Our marginal cost, MC, is equal to summation of all the variable costs. Variable costs. Now, our marginal revenue, how do we calculate this? Marginal revenue. To calculate your marginal revenue, you are going to start from your price function. To calculate your marginal revenue, you are going to start from your price function. Our price function, also known as the demand function. You can also call it demand function. Is given by the equation P is equal to small letter A plus small letter B Q. This is the equation of the price function. This is the equation of the price where P is the price per unit. Your small letter A is equal to price at which demand is 0. That is the price at which quantity demanded will be 0. Nobody will buy the product again. If you charge a price at A, then nobody will buy that product again. Your small letter B is equal to minus change in price divided by change in quantity. Change in quantity. Minus sign is there. Minus sign is there, please, for your B. Change in price over change in quantity. Now, this minus sign represents the inverse relationship between price and quantity. The negative sign represents the inverse relationship between price and quantity. Remember we said the higher the price, the lower the quantity. That means price and quantity will move in opposite direction. That's why you are having negative sign. Then your Q, that is the quantity. Your Q is your quantity. Quantity. So you have the price function. When you are done with the price function, you now go to your total revenue. Total revenue. Total revenue. Total revenue function. The total revenue is equal to price multiplied by quantity. Price multiplied by quantity. If you are trying to calculate your total revenue, you are going to take the selling price, multiply by the quantity sold. Is that clear, please? Your total revenue is the selling price multiplied by the quantity sold. Now, we know the price function to be, look at it. Our price function is A plus BQ. That means I can come here, I can remove letter P here and replace it with A plus BQ. That is the price function, sorry, the total revenue function is equal to A plus BQ multiplied by Q. We have just removed letter P and we replace this with P is equal to A plus BQ. You can expand this to be our total revenue function is equal to A plus BQ into brackets Q. This multiplication. If you open the brackets, your total revenue function is equal to total revenue function is equal to Q multiplied by A. That becomes AQ plus Q multiplied by BQ. That becomes BQ square. This is your total revenue function. Please let us confirm that. Okay, any question, please? Anybody having challenge with what I've explained here? You may send in your comments or clarification via chat, or you can unmute and speak. All right. Once you get your total revenue, you can derive your marginal revenue from your total revenue. You can derive your marginal revenue from your total revenue. Marginal revenue is derived as by differentiating total revenue function with respect to quantity. Let me take you to that aspect. Look at it, please. Marginal revenue can be found by differentiating the expression of the total revenue with respect to quantity. Marginal revenue can be calculated by differentiating the expression of the total revenue with respect to quantity. What this means is that we can differentiate total revenue and we are going to derive marginal revenue. What we call the YDS, differential calculus. Some of us, we might have gotten the knowledge at a previous class. Some of us might be getting it for the first time. Whatever the case, we are going to explain how to differentiate total revenue, and you are going to derive your marginal revenue. Can I come here to say? We can now round up and say marginal revenue is equal to the total revenue slash the quantity. This is how to calculate your marginal revenue. Once we get to question, we are going to demonstrate that tonight by God's grace. Now, once you get your marginal revenue and you have your marginal cost, then you are going to equate these two variables. Look at it. According to the theoretical pricing method, the optimum selling price is achieved where marginal revenue equals marginal cost. According to the theoretical pricing method, when we say theoretical pricing method, we are referring to economic pricing method. That is the price at which the company will maximize profits. To maximize profits, the company must charge a selling price at a level of sales where marginal revenue equals marginal cost. All right. We are done with the explanation. We are done with the explanation required. Any question, please? Any question, please? We are starting with question 1 today. We are starting with question 1. If you are looking at your Soft copy material, you have it as question 1, HS. If you are looking at the screen, we have HFP manufacture. So any question? All right, if there's no question, let us proceed to question number 1. This question is available on page 100 of the study pack. I'll read. HFP manufactures components for use in computers. The business operates in a highly competitive market where there is a large number of manufacturers of similar components. HFP is considering its pricing strategy for the next 12 months for one of its components. The managing director seeks your advice to determine the selling price that will maximize profits. Look at it. To determine the selling price that will maximize profits. Please, just 1 minute. Just 1 minute, please. 1 minute, please. I'll The managing director seek your advice to determine the selling price that will maximize the profits to be made during this period. You have been given the following data. Market data. The current price of the component is 1,350. And at this price, please note the current price of the components is 1,350 naira. At this price, the average weekly demand over the last 4 weeks has been 8,000 components. Okay, so at a selling price of 1,350, the demand for the component is 8,000 components. And analysis of the market shows that for every 50 naira reduction in selling price, the demand increased by 1,000 components per week. And for every 50 naira increase in selling price, the demand will reduce by 1,000 components. So if there is increase in price by 50 naira, demand will fall by 1,000 components. If there is fall in price by 50 naira, demand will rise by 1,000 components. Please note this. Cost. The direct material cost of each component is 270. This price is part of a fixed price contract with the material suppliers. And the contract does not expire for another year. Production labor, and conversion cost, together with other overhead and corresponding output volume, have been collected for the last 4 weeks, and they are as follows. Let's go to this. If the production volume is 9,400, then the total cost for production cost, labor cost, conversion cost, 7 million. We have week 1 to 4 given, the production and the cost. Next. No significant changes in cost behavior are expected in the next 12 weeks. Requirements A, calculate the optimum profit maximizing selling price of the components for the period. Roman figure 1 or requirement 1. Requirement 1 says calculate the optimum profit maximizing selling price. That means the selling price that will give us the highest profits. Then the B aspect says identify and explain 3 reasons why it may be inappropriate for HFP to use this theoretical pricing model in practice. We are done with the question reading. So in my usual manner, I will ask my student, to what extent do you understand this question and the examiner requirements? For this question, it is very clear. Examiner says we want to determine a selling price that will maximize profits. So we are requiring you as an accountant to help us calculate selling price that will maximize profits. If you are faced with questions of this nature, remember that to maximize profits, the company must set a selling price at a level of sales where marginal revenue equals to marginal cost. That means for you to be able to address this question, you need to calculate the marginal cost. When you are done with the marginal cost, then you are going to calculate the marginal revenue. You require these two to be able to get your selling price that maximizes profit. You must calculate the marginal revenue and marginal cost. All right. We have tried to explain how to approach the question. Now let's go to computation. Solution now. I will start with my first working. my working one. I want to calculate the marginal cost. So what is marginal cost, please? How do we calculate marginal cost? I need to look for all the, yes, you can speak.
Addition of all the variable costs.
Yeah, thank you. I will pick all my variable costs. Thank you. So let's go back to the question. Let's go and look for all our variable costs. Look at the cost data. The direct material cost for each component, 270. I'll pick this. Direct material cost per component is 270. You pick it. Direct material cost per component examiner says 270. Now we go back again. Also our cost data. Production, labor, and conversion costs together with other overhead. That means this 7 million, it includes production, labor, conversion cost, and other overhead. This cost you have here, it includes production cost, labor cost, conversion cost, and other overhead. And we are giving the volume of production at different levels. We don't know if this cost is a variable cost or a fixed cost or a mixed cost. Now, how do we resolve this? Anybody, any suggestion? Any suggestion?
High and low method.
High and low method. Thank you. You know, I explained this, that this high and low method is a method, this cost estimating method can be taken to any topic under performance management. This can be taken to any topic under performance management. Now, this has been brought to pricing now. You have activity at the highest level. If you look at week 1, we have the highest production level. If you look at week 4, we have the lowest production level. Once you have activity at the highest level and you have activity at the lowest level, that means you can use high and low method to calculate the variable cost included in that cost. Once you have activity at the highest level and activity at the lowest level, you can use high and low method to determine the variable element of cost. So we are going to adopt this year. You come here. I'll move down a bit. Let me come here. Okay, 1, 2. Okay, I can come here. Using high and low method. That's it. At high level, okay, let me move a bit. Let me take this. You have outputs, you have costs. High. At high level, we have 9,400 units. The cost here is 7 million. At low level, output was 7,300. And the cost, what is the cost here, please? 5 million what?
446,000.
446,000. Now look for the differences.
2-1.
We have different, this is 7. So differences we have 2,100 units. Differences here, what do you have?
1,554,000.
554, Abby.
Yes, sir.
Now you can now get the variable rate. The variable rate per unit. Now come here. Our variable rates per components is equal to differences in cost. 5 million, 1,554,000 divided by differences in output, 2,100. What do you have, please?
740.
We have our 740. That means other variable cost per component. We are going to call it other variable cost. Please, you know, you are in this particular question, you are only interested in all the variable costs. Don't waste your time calculating the fixed cost. Hello? In this particular question, I'm only interested in variable cost. I don't have to waste my time calculating the fixed cost. I'll just come here, other variable cost per component is equal to 740. You can go back to your working up. Oh no, it has gone too far. You just come here, come and put it back here. Other variable cost per component is equal to 740. You can now get your total marginal cost per component. What do you have here?
1010.
1010. This gives us our total marginal cost per component. You have resolved the marginal cost. We now move on. The second working is to calculate your marginal revenue. The second working now. We come here, working 2. Calculation of marginal revenue. To do this, you are going to start with your price function. To do this, you are going to start with your price function. I'll come here. Price function. Price function. That is P is equal to A plus B Q. We continue. Our P is the price per component. Now, please go check the question. What is the current price per component in the question?
1350.
Pick is 1350. This is the current price per component, but this is not the price that maximizes profit. This is the current price per component, but this is not the price that maximizes profit. So you are going to pick the price per component. Your small letter A, this is the price at which demand is 0. We don't know this price yet, but we must try to derive it. We move on. Our letter B. Our B is equal to minus change in price divided by change in quantity. Now go back to the question. What is the change in price? Hello, look at the question, please. What is the change in price? Examiner says for every 50 naira reduction in price. Is that not, please?
Yes, that decreased by 1000.
Thank you. That means change in price is 50 naira. If price to change by 50 naira, demand will change by how much?
1000 components.
Thank you. Pick it. Change in price is 50. Change in quantity is 1,000. Please divide. 50 divided by 1,000. What do we have? Negative 0.0 what?
0.05.
0.05. You have gotten your letter B. Then Q. Our letter Q, quantity. Look at the question. At a price of 1,350, what is the quantity demanded?
8,000. 8,000 components.
8,000 components. Thank you. 8,000 components. Now you have gotten your variables. Now go back and substitute this variable into the price function. I'll come back here. Look at the price function. P is equal to A plus BQ. I know my P to be 1,350 currently. The P, this is 1,350. The small letter A, I don't know. Plus bracket, my B is minus 0.05. Close my bracket. At a price of 1,350, quantity is 8,000. You can now determine price at which demand is 0. $1,350 is equal to A. This will change to minus. Plus times minus. This becomes minus. 0.05 multiplied by 8,000. That should give us 400.
400. 400.
So you can collect like terms. 1,350 plus 400 is equal to A. That means our letter A is
1,750.
750. This is the price at which demand will be 0. You can now rewrite your price function. Our price function P is equal to letter A is 1,750 plus bracket letter B is negative 0.05 Q. When we say price function, it's an equation. That means my price function is P is equal to 1,750 minus 0.05 Q. You have gotten the price equation. You must, for you to get your marginal revenue, you are going to derive your price equation first. All right. If there's any question, please, you can indicate. If there's none, we move on. When you are done with your price function, then go and get your revenue function.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, please.
Please, can you go over it again, please?
Is there any
Thank you.
area?
Yeah, I think I'm confused about.
Okay, let me try because I want to try and solve two questions. So I was just thinking I'll still take the second question.
Okay.
But let me just try.
Thank you, sir.
Now, if you want to calculate your marginal revenue, you start by getting your price. You start with your price function, or we call it your demand function. Your price function will not change regardless of the question. Your P is equal to A plus BQ. Your price function will not change regardless of the question the examiner is texting. So the price function is P is equal to A plus BQ. You now define the variables. P is equal to price per component. Now go back to the question. Go and check the price per component. If you go back to the question, the current price per component is given as 1,350. You pick it, your P. Then your letter B, sorry, your letter A. This is the price at which quantity demanded will be 0. We don't know this yet, but we must try to derive it. So you keep that in view. Your letter B is equal to negative change in price over change in quantity. Go back to the question. What is the change in price? Please refer to the question as I'm speaking. The question says, for every 50 naira increase in price, demand will fall by 1,000 components. And for every 50 naira reduction in price, demand will rise by 1,000. That means change in price 50 naira. Change in quantity is 1,000. Please work this out. Divide 50. Oh, who is having this speaker? Please, can we mute our speaker? Okay, please, can you mute your speaker? It's conflicting this class. Divide 50 by 1,000. That will give you 0.05. And there's negative sign in that formula. Now, once you have gotten your B, then quantity. The quantity is given in the question. At a selling price of 1,350, examiner says quantity demanded for the component is 8,000 components. Once you have gotten all these variables out, now go back and derive the small letter A. Look at it, please. P The price is currently 1,350. Is equal to small letter A. I don't know it yet. Plus brackets. Our B is negative 0.05. Negative 0.05. Then our Q at a price of 1,350. Quantity demanded is 8,000. With this equation, you can determine the small letter A. 0.05 multiplied by 8,000. That will give you negative 400. Then you can collect like terms. If you collect the like terms, your small letter A is 1,750. Once you have derived your letter A, you now go back to your price function. Substitute the variables. P is equal to small letter A is now 1,500. Remove the letter A and replace it with the value of letter A. Plus bracket, small letter B is negative 0.05. Remove the letter B, replace it with negative 0.05. Then your Q. Put your Q. That will give you the price equation. So this is the price equation. Once you are done with this now, then move to the total revenue function. Is that clear, please? Move to the total revenue function. You now move on. Come here. Working 3. Total revenue function. Our total revenue is calculated as price multiplied by quantity. Is that not, please? This is our total revenue function. Once you have taken this, you have calculated your price function to be our P is equal to 1,750 minus 0.05 Q. Now remove the P. Come here, I can now say rewrite total revenue. This is equal to 1,750 minus 0.05 Q multiplied by Q. Our TR, total revenue, is equal to 1,750 0.050 minus 0.05 Q. I can put this in brackets. This also times. Bracket means multiplication. Q. Open these brackets. Q multiplied by 1,750. That will give us total revenue is equal to 1,750 Q minus 0.05 Q multiplied by Q. This becomes 0.05 Q square. You have gotten your total revenue equation. Our total revenue functional equation is 1,750 Q minus 0.05 Q square. When you are done with this, then you can now go and derive your marginal revenue. Marginal revenue will be derived from total revenue. Marginal revenue will be derived from total revenue. Marginal revenue is calculated as the differentiation of total revenue with respect to quantity. Now let us go to this. Enough of this talk. Let us convert this talk to mathematics. Some of us are used to this calculus before. Some of us is coming for the first time. Regardless of whether you are used to it or not, it is something that is learnable. Please, don't be disturbed by the name differential calculus. You come here. My working for. Marginal revenue. You now bring it here. Look how to calculate it. Take your total revenue, 1,050 Q minus 0.05 Q raised to power 2. Look at the working place. Our marginal revenue is equal to, take the first figure here, 1,750 Q. Pick that figure, 1,750 Q. Now, look at this letter Q. This letter Q is raised to power 1. This letter, of course, the one will not be, usually we don't write 1 on top, but we know that if I say Q, Q is raised to power 1. Under the law of indices, if you recall law of indices, any number raised to power 1 is equal to that number. Under the rule of indices, any number raised to power 1 is equal to that number. If I say 100 raised to power 1 is equal to 100. 200 raised to power 1 is equal to 200. Letter Q raised to power 1 is equal to letter Q. So you are going to introduce that one for the purpose of differentiation. When you have introduced that one, now say, please look at it. The power, whatever you have up here, this is called power, multiplied by the coefficient. 1 multiplied by 1,750. That will still give us 1,750. So when you multiply it 1 by 1, the coefficients, then return here. This is calculus we are doing now. Differentiation. Now say -1. You are not going to have, Q raised to power 0. 1 minus 1 will give you 0. But let me take this aspect. Then you are not going to have Q raised to power 0. Any number raised to power 0 is equal to 1. Under the law of indices, that means this is 1. That means this Q will go. This is 1. It remaining just 1 here. If you now say 1 times, this is 1 now. Because this Q now, Q raised to power 0 is 1. So I can say 1,750 multiplied by 1. This will still give me 1,750. You are done with this first aspect. Move to the second part of your equation. You have minus 0.05 Q raised to power 2. This is raised to power of 2. Now, the power multiplied by the coefficient. What we call coefficient is the figure in front of a letter. If I write 5x, this 5 is called coefficient in mathematics. Coefficient of x is 5. That is the letter in front of x. If I say raised to power 2, that means coefficient is 5 and the power is 2. So coefficient is the figure in front of a variable. The variable here is Q. So I just brought this to explain. This will go. Now, 2 multiplied by 0.05. What do we have?
0.1.
So we are going to have, from this aspect, we are going to have 0.1. Now, also say -1. This is constant. 2 minus 1, what do we have? That will give us 1. That means you are going to have q raised to power 1. And any number raised to power 1 is equal to that q. So you come here. Your minus sign, this will give you 0.1 q. You have gotten your marginal revenue. Marginal revenue is equal to 1,750 minus 0.1 q. And let me say this will not change regardless of the question. You might not be able to get everything at once now, but by the time you practice question to it, it's not as difficult as the noise around it. We just try to do more. That's why I'm trying to solve at least 2 questions. Once you have gotten your marginal revenue, you can now equate it. We have gotten the marginal cost, we have gotten the marginal revenue. We can equate the two now. Now look at it. Working 5. To maximize profit, comma, marginal revenue should equal marginal cost. We now bring it. Our marginal revenue is remember, our marginal revenue is 1,750 minus 0.1 q. Our marginal cost is our marginal cost is 1,010. We now equate the two. Come here. 1,750 minus 0.1 q is equal to 1,010. We have equated the two. You can now determine your Q. output, that is the output maximizing our Q. I can work for our Q now. Sorry, let me take this off. I will just say collect like terms. Collect like terms. That means you are going to move this. This is without Q. I will just move 1,750. This become minus. That means I'm going to have 0.1 Q is equal to 1,010 minus 1,750. What is Q, please?
Minus 740.
You have minus 0.1 Q is equal to minus 740. Minus, we cancel out minus. That means Q is equal to 740 divided by 0.1. That will give us 7,400. Our Q, that is level of the output, the volume of sales and output to maximize profits. Look at it. I can now say quantity that maximizes profits is 4,000 units. Oh, I have to create space, Abby. 1 minute. Let me add space to it. Let me add space to it. Oh no. We need to add space to that. Okay, let me see if I can use it. Just for me, I want to add space to that place so that we can round up that question. The maximizing profit is equal to 7,400. Once you have gotten this now, you can derive price. Oh, somebody is asking a question. How do we get 1,100? We did that before now. You're joining the class. That was the first thing we did. That was the first. Go and look at working one. That was the first working we did. Look at marginal cost, our working one. That was the first thing we did. The price. Remember, we have gotten the price equation. The price equation is 1,750 minus 0.05 Q. Now we know the Q. Q that will maximize profit is 7,400. I can now come here and say P is equal to 1,750 minus 0.05 bracket our Q now. Remove letter Q, replace it with quantity that maximizes profits. 7,400. Please work this out. What is the price? $0.05 multiplied by 7,400.
370.
Yes, 370.
Therefore, price is equal to 1,380. That is the price that will maximize profit. Look at price that maximizes profit is 1,380. That's all. That's all, please. Examiner says calculate the optimum profit maximizing selling price. Currently, the company is charging selling price of 1,350. And the company says at the price of 1,350, the company says 8,000 units. And that is not the price that maximizes profit. We are done with the question. Yes, Mr. Latif.
Oh, well done, sir. Can
Thank
you
you,
hear
sir.
me?
We can hear you, please.
So definitely from the beginning, under workings too, where we got our price that quantity demanded will be zero, which is 1,750 naira. Are you there,
Okay.
sir? So
I'm listening.
if it means that at that price, it means that the price will be too much for people to afford. Therefore, they would rather not demand for anything. And that is
You will not buy
1,750.
anything. Yes.
So that I want to ask, that should be a guide to know that our price of 1,380 is correct. Is that whatever we will get as the price that will maximize profit must be lesser to that of the price at which the quantity demanded is equal to zero. Am I correct?
Of course. Of course, that should be a guide that you cannot get above 1,750. That's not what you are saying, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Aha. All right. Oh, I'll still try because The B part says, so that we can round up this quickly, the B part of the question says, so we have answered the first part. Calculate the optimum profit maximizing selling price of the components. That is 1,380 naira. Now the question 2 says, identify and explain 3 reasons why it may be inappropriate for HFP to use theoretical pricing model. Why is it not appropriate to use this approach for pricing? What the examiner is trying to ask is, what are the limitations of theoretical approach to pricing? Most companies will not use theoretical approach to pricing. Why? The reasons are one is, I want to go to that solutions page. Yeah, look at it here. Limitation of theoretical pricing model. One, the model assumes that firm can estimate the demand curve for its products. In practice, it is difficult to determine how many will be sold at any price. Let me explain that. Theoretical approach to pricing assumes that you can estimate your demand function. You can determine what customer will buy. But you can only set your selling price. Company can only determine selling price. You cannot determine what the customers will buy. Number 2 is that it is difficult to determine the price at which demand will be zero. In practice, you cannot easily calculate a price at which quantity demanded will be zero, that nobody will buy the products. So in practice, it is not easy to use theoretical approach to pricing. Number 3 reason is that most companies tend to pursue target profits. Most companies will set a target profit, not estimated or theoretical maximum profits. Another reason is that the model ignores the action of the competitor. You want to determine your own selling price. What about your competitors? So if you are trying to maximize profit, what happens to the competitors in the market? All right, you can pick any 3 out of these 6. Wow, I only have like 30 minutes. Oh. Okay, let's look at the second question I want to try and look at tonight. Also available on page 101 illustration 3. You can refer to the study pack. All right, let's look at this question. It's Co. It's actually called Eats and Co. Eats and Co. specializes in the production of a range of air conditioning appliances for industrial premises. It is about to launch a new product, the energy booster. A unique air conditioning unit which is capable of providing unprecedented levels of air conditioning using a minimal amount of electricity. The technology used in the energy booster is unique. So Eats and Co. has patented it so that no competitors can enter the market for 2 years. The company's development costs have been high. And it's expected that the products will have a 5-year life cycle. Second paragraph. Eats and Co. is now trying to estimate the best pricing policy that they should adopt for the energy booster launch onto the market. Demand is very responsive to price changes, and research has established that for every 15 naira increase in price, demand will be expected to fall by 1,000 units. If the company sets the price at 735 naira, only 1,000 units will be demanded. The cost of producing each air conditioning unit as follows. Material cost, 42 naira per unit. Labor cost, 12 naira. In brackets, 1.5 hours at a rate of 8 naira per hour. Still note. We have the fixed overhead, 6 naira based on producing 50,000 units. Notes. Examiner says, look at labor. Examiner says, see notes below. Let's look at these notes. The first air conditioning unit took 1.5 hours, 1.5 hours to make. And labor cost 8 naira per hour. A 95% learning curve exists in relation to production of the unit. Although this learning curve is expected to finish after making 100 units. ICAN cost management have said that any pricing decision, please, if possible, underline that word. ICAN management have said that any pricing decisions about the energy booster should be based on the time it takes to make the 100 units. You have been told that learning coefficient is P is equal to negative 0.074005. All other costs are expected to remain the same up to the maximum demand level required. Requirements A. A1. Establish the demand function for air conditioning units. Roman figure 2. Calculate the marginal cost for each air conditioning unit after adjusting the labor cost as required by the note above. Requirement 3. Equate marginal cost and marginal revenue in order to calculate the optimum price and quantity. All right. We don't have luxury of time. The question says, establish the demand function. Remember, our demand function is our price function. So examiner say establish the demand function for air conditioning unit. Just go straight. The same thing we did just now. You start like this. Okay, pick our pen. The demand function. Just pick your price. P is equal to A plus BQ, where P is the price. P is equal to price. Go back to the question. Examiner says, at a price of 7.35. Look at it. If the company set a price of 7.35 naira, demand is 1,000 units. Just pick that price. P. At a price of 7.35. That's our P. Our A. Price at which demand is 0. We don't know that yet, but we must try to determine that. Our B is equal to minus change in price divided by change in quantity. Go back to the question and check. Examiner says for every 15 naira, let's look at it. Look at it. Research has established that for every 15 naira increase in price, that means if the price should change by 15 naira, what will happen to the demand? Demand will fall by 1,000. That means I can come here and say our B is equal to, look at it, please. Our B is equal to minus 15 divided by 1,000. What is B, please? Negative 0. What?
0.015.
0.015.
That's our B. Then our Q. Our Q. Examiner says at a price of 735 naira, the demand will be 1,000 units. We can use these variables to determine small letter a. I'll just come here. Remember our P is equal to A plus BQ. If our P is 735, our A we don't know, plus our B is minus 0.015. Close the bracket. Then at a price of 735, our Q is 1,000. What is letter A? This becomes 735 is equal to A minus 15. Is that not? Collect like time, that means 735. This 15 will move here, become plus 15 is equal to A. Therefore, A is equal to 750. This is the price at which demand will be 0. Once you have gotten this, you can now get You can now get your your demand equation. They'll do like this: demand equation, demand equation. P is equal to A plus BQ. My P is equal to A is 750. Remove letter A, introduce 750 plus bracket. Our B is negative 0.015. Remove letter B, introduce negative 0.015. Then your Q. That means our demand equation is equal to P is equal to 750 minus 0.015 Q. This is an equation now. That is the demand equation. You are done with A Roma figure 1. We are done with A Roma figure 1. Any question, please? You can now go to A Roma figure 2. Examiner says calculate marginal cost for each air conditioning our marginal cost is the addition of all our variable costs. But the challenge here is we have to adjust labor cost. Let's go back to the question so that we can appreciate this. Look at the requirement. Say calculate the marginal cost for each air conditioning unit after adjusting the labor cost as required by the note above. Let's go to the note above. The note above says the first air conditioning unit took 1.5 hours to make and labor cost 8 naira per hour. A 95% learning curve exists in relation to production of the units, although the learning curve is expected to finish after making 100 units. Its ANCO management has said that any pricing decision about the energy booster should be based on the time it takes to make the 100th units. You have been told that the learning coefficient is given as B. All right. Let me try to explain this briefly. Learning curve is a topic on its own. Learning curve is a topic on its own, which will be taken later by Adejuwon. But examiner has brought learning curve to a question we are solving. That means we must try to explain this to us more. Now, if I'm to explain this, when we say learning curve, you know, if you get a new job, the company will place you on probation, a probation period, maybe 6 months or 1 year, because you are just joining the company. You need to learn how they do the work. That means if you are just starting the job, for the first time you resume the job, you are likely to take longer hours doing that job. Next day you go there, you are doing the same job. You are now improving on your performance. Over time, your performance will improve and the hours spent on production will fall. Learning curve is saying that where an employee performs repetitive tasks, where an employee performs repetitive tasks, the hours taken will continue to fall as the employee improves in performance, as the employee acquires skills, experience on the job. The hours taken will continue to fall up to a point where the employee will stabilize. At the point where the employee stabilizes is what we call the standard hour. Now, if you refer back to this question, the question says, just imagine yourself as the new employee. If you produce, you are just joining the company. The company produces air condition. You are just joining. If you produce your first air condition, you are going to spend more hours. It's going to take you 1.5 hours, 1.5 hours to produce it. You now produce the second one, the third one. As you are producing, you understand the production more. There's improvement in your performance. Then the hours you are taking will continue to fall. Examiner now says the learning process is expected to finish after making 100 units. That means the first 100 you are going to produce, you are still within the learning process. Once you do that last unit that makes 100, the time taken, then you have finished your learning process. So the question says the hour we are going to use, look at it. Management, where's my cursor? Management have said that any pricing decision about the energy booster should be based on the time taken to make the 100 units. That is after you have produced 99. You are not going to produce one more. That last one, we want to know the hours taken now. What is the hour to produce that last one? Now to do this, please, you now introduce learning curve formula. Please, this learning curve will always have impact on labor cost. It is labor that will improve performance. You know, company, if you appraiser, you don't appraise your machine. You appraise human being performance. So let's go to this. Please, you may come across new thing. Don't be discouraged. No, just have a mindset that whatever it takes, I'm going to pass this exam. However, the exam, like let the exam move, I will still pass. Okay, let's go back to our time has. Look at it. We come here. I want to calculate our marginal cost. So we need to pick our marginal cost, all the variable costs, marginal costs. So our direct material cost, this is giving us 42 naira. Our labor cost, we don't know yet. We need to adjust. We now come here. We don't know yet, but we need to adjust. Come here. I'll move down a bit. For the labor cost, come here. Start with working. Your first working is to calculate total time taken to produce the fixed 100 units. What is the total time taken to produce the first 100 units? Now you are not going to introduce learning curve formula. You are going to introduce learning curve formula. What is this formula? This is equal to y is equal to ax raised to power b, where your y is equal to the cumulative average time per unit. Your A for this learning curve, A is equal to time taken for the first unit. This is given in the question. Examiner says to produce the first air condition, we are going to take 1.5 hours. Your X, number of units within the learning process. Examiner says this is equal to 100. Look at it. That is Time taken to produce the first 100. Your S is 100. Your B is the learning coefficient. Examiner say this is equal to minus 0.0740005. Now go and compute your Y. Go and compute Y. I'll just come here. Y is equal to my small letter A, 1.5, multiplied by our letter X, 100, raised to power our B minus 0.0740005. Please apply your calculator. What is your Y? What is Y? If you work out this, you are going to get 0.1.0668. Please work this out. That is your Y. Wow, time has gone on, but we try, Sha. Please apply your calculator and confirm you have that figure. 1.5 multiplied by 100 raised to power minus 0.0740005. Yes, I have reconfirmed that. Apply your calculator and reconfirm that. That is the cumulative average time per unit. You now move ahead. Okay. Just wondering. And now come here. You know, we want to calculate total time taken for the first 100 units. Look at it. Total time taken for first 100 units. Time taken per unit is 1.0668 hours. For 100 units, it becomes, look at it, 1.0668 multiplied by 100. That will give you 106.68 hours. This is the total time taken for the first 100 air condition produced. This is the total time taken for the first 100 air condition that is produced. When you are done with that, you now go and look for total time for the first 99. Please just give me like, maybe like 10, I want to just try and take like 10 minutes so that we can. Once you are done with that, the second working is second working is total time taken for first 99 units. That means your y will now become 99. Look at it. Just come here and say your formula y is equal to a s raised to power b. Y is equal to our a, time for the first unit, 1.5 hours, multiplied by our x now is now 99. First 99 units minus 0.0740005. What is y now? Come here and say 1.5 multiplied by 99 raised to power minus 0.0740005. This will give you 1.0676. This is the average time per unit. You now say total time for 99. Total time taken for first 99 units. I'll just come here. This is equal to 99 multiplied by 1.0676. Multiplied by 99. This will give you 105.69 hours. The first working, we got total time taken for the first 100 units. Second working, total time taken for first 99 units. Now say the last working here, which is working 3 now. Working 3. Time taken for the 100. Look at TH. That is that last unit that we complete 100 after we have produced 99. The last units that we make 100. Total time for the 100 units. To get this is simply time taken for the first 100 minus the time taken for first 99. You just come here, just do like this is equal to 106.86 hour minus 105.69 hour. Please work these two out. That will give you time for the last unit that make 100. If you work this out, you are going to have 0.99 hours. 0.99 hours. Once you have gotten this, you can return back to your labor cost. I want to go to the question quickly. Please note, this 1.5 hours to produce the first air condition is going to take 1.5 hours. But this is not the hours we are required to use. The examiner says management has said that any pricing decision about the energy booster should be based on the time it takes to make the 100 unit. That is the last unit that will complete 100. So we have gotten the time to be 0.99 hours. And labor cost per hour is 8 naira. I can come here and say, stem is hanging. I've taken how many minutes here? Okay, I've taken like 5 minutes by, is it 5 minutes? Yes, 5 minutes by myself. So you can go back to that calculation. It's just for everybody's benefit. I'm aware that we need to close the class, and so please just come here. 0. That is the time to produce the 100 units. That labor hour. What is the rate per hour? Multiply by 8 naira. Please multiply by 8 naira. You now get labor cost per air condition. $0.99 multiplied by 8. I have
792.
7. No, please. That should be 7.92. Abi? 7.92. That means our marginal cost is 49.92. We are done with that. This is the marginal cost. This is the marginal cost. Marginal cost for air condition is 49 naira 92 kobo. You are done with the figure 3. The last calculation to round up. Look at it. Figure 3 equates marginal cost and marginal revenue in order to calculate the optimum price and quantity. Good enough, we have calculated the price function. We have calculated the marginal cost. We can quickly calculate marginal revenue. Our price function look at the price function. P is equal to 750 minus 0.015 Q. So I'll now go and get revenue function. What is revenue? Price multiplied by quantity. Because I want to get my marginal cost. So I want to get my marginal revenue, sorry. We can come here, I've gone too far. Requirement C. Equates marginal revenue and marginal cost. I'll just come here, working, marginal revenue, marginal revenue. Remember how to get this. First, take your price function. Our price function is 750 minus 0.015 Q as computed in number figure 1 above. Next, our total revenue function. Total revenue is equal to price multiplied by quantity. Now remove the P and introduce 750 to this. That means our total revenue is simply our total revenue is 750 minus 0.015 Q multiplied by Q. Our total revenue, Q multiplied by 750. This is 750 Q minus Q multiplied by 0.015 Q. This becomes Q square. You have gotten your total revenue. From your total revenue, derive your marginal revenue. The same thing we did with that question 1. Just come here. Our marginal revenue, MR, is equal to, pick this 750 Q. There's 1 here. This is Q raised to power 1. Now, the power multiplied by the coefficient, 1 multiplied by 750. This is 750. Then now deduct 1 from here. This is differentiation. Then you are going to have 0. That means Q raised to power 0. This becomes our Q raised to power 0. Under indices, n number raised to power 0 is 1. That means this is 1 multiplied by 1. You are still going to get your 750. Pick the second part of the equation. Minus 0.015 raised to power Q raised to power 2. 2 multiplied by 0.015. What do you have, please? Time is fast spent. 0.015 multiplied by 2. That will give us minus 0.03. Then remove 1 again. Whatever, minus 1, that's calculus. You are left with Q raised to power 1. This is Q. This is your marginal revenue. This is your margin. I'm just trying to manage the sign. Once you get your marginal revenue, equate your marginal revenue and marginal cost so that you can get your Q. Marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost. 750 minus 0.03 Q is equal to 49.92. What is Q, please? Collect like terms. This becomes minus 0.03 Q is equal to 49.92 minus 750. Minus 0.03 Q is equal to this minus this. 49.92 minus 750. You have negative 700.08. Negative, we strike out negative. Therefore, our Q is equal to 700.08 divided by 0.03. What is Q, please? Our Q will give us 23,336. This is the optimum quantity. The optimum quantity, that is the quantity the company should sell in order to maximize profits. The optimum quantity, this is the units. Once you have gotten this, go and get the optimum price. Go back to the price equation. P is equal to 750 minus 0.015 Q. This is the price function that we calculated in Roman figure 1. Once you are done with this, introduce your Q. Our P is equal to 750 minus 0.015 into bracket 23,336. Our P is equal to 750 minus what, please? Approximately, that should be 350.
$350.04.
Yeah, approximately 350. It should be 350. That means the price should be what? 400. So you can conclude we are done. The optimum price is 400. Optimum price. 400 naira. And optimum quantity. Optimum quantity. 23,336 units. You are done with this question. You are done with the question. Sorry for taking your time like this. The B part, we can always read that. Explain what is meant by penetration pricing strategy and market skimming pricing strategy. Discuss whether either strategy might be suitable for it and co when launching the energy booster. You can read this up here. Remember, we explained this last week. Market penetration strategy. You are charging a low price for a new product. While market skimming, you are charging higher price for the new product. Please try to read this note here. All right, I will be stopping here.